I saw Christine there as well, but I didn't talk to her. I did feel like some people were trying to look like they were having more fun than me. I mean, this is how childish this whole divorce has been. Such a teenage drama. I don't like you any more than you like me.
The kids don't need to be involved in the issues with their parents.
Oh, come on. How can you even think about missing your own son's wedding for no actual reason? Sure, you're a little uncomfortable, but newsflash, it's not about you. I'm willing to bet Robin and Kody had their minds made up to attend from the start. But they probably sat around, hoping Logan and his fiancée would beg them to come, just to stroke their egos. When they finally realized no one was canceling the wedding in their absence, and they weren't the center of attention, the drama magically fizzled out. And don't even get me started on Gwen's wedding. They didn't show up to the ceremony and strolled in late to the reception, like they were doing everyone a favor. Why? Probably because it wasn't being filmed, so there was no spotlight for them to bask in. Seems to be their go-to move, whether it's Logan's or Gwen's big day. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Reality Nexus X. I'm Elena, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in. Let's dive right into today's video. However, I still can't wrap my head around the fact that Kody and Robin thought having a nanny during coronavirus made any sense, especially when Kody couldn't even bother to see his own kids. Let's be real, Saul was 10 and Meri was 5 during season 16, when the whole nanny or coronavirus exposure drama went down. At that point, only Meri maybe needed a sitter, and yet there were how many unemployed adults lounging around that house? 3 plus 2 older teens. But yeah, sure, bring in a nanny. The nanny just proves it was never about coronavirus. If they were that terrified of catching something deadly, they would have axed the nanny too, just like they cut off Kody's own children and wives. The fact that none of the other wives called them out on this absurdity is truly mind-blowing. With 3 adults, or close to it, in the house full-time, not to mention Kody and Robin, the idea that they actually needed a nanny for 2 little kids is beyond ridiculous. There's even been some speculation that the nanny wasn't really a nanny at all, but maybe a special needs tutor and nanny just sounded better. Honestly, that theory makes way more sense than anything Kody and Robin have said. Additionally, can we all raise a glass to Janelle for finally spilling the tea on Robin? My kids didn't feel comfortable at her house. They were scolded for going to her fridge. Ah yes, the infamous fridge sign, mystery solved. Robin once claimed, "I would welcome them into my home with open arms," but apparently those arms don't extend to her refrigerator. Gotta protect that grocery budget. LOL. It's honestly so satisfying to watch the other wives, and even the kids finally react to the nonsense Kody and Robin have been feeding everyone for years. It's refreshing to see them stand up for themselves and push back against all the BS. Janelle should have borrowed Robin's own words and thrown them right back. It wasn't a safe place. That would have been perfect. While it's great that Janelle is now saying it like it is, I do feel for her kids. These conversations should have been happening seasons ago, right there on the couch, instead of being brushed under the rug. Janelle should have put her foot down with Robin sooner, shut down the nonsense as it happened. But hey, better late than never. Also, Sister Wives star Kody Brown really had the audacity to use the excuse that men can't ask for a release as the reason for stringing Meri along for over 10 years. 10 years. No accountability whatsoever for dangling false hope in front of her all that time. Nope, not his fault. Let's blame the church. Poor Kody, just so sorry it took Meri that long to figure it out, right? She wasted over a decade on this coward, and now he's deflecting blame onto his church. Classic Kody move. Janelle once said something that really stuck. Kody will never end a marriage himself because it would make him look bad. Instead, he'll just grow distant, get angry, and slowly blame the woman for his own actions until she's had enough and walks away. Then, cue the wounded act. He doesn't seem to understand that his behavior is the reason the relationships fall apart. Sure, the woman might be the one to end it, but it's his own actions that led to that point. And now, suddenly, he says his church is BS. He's lying again. It's so obvious that this was never about the church. It was always about money and control. Kody hasn't truly believed in his religion for a long time, but it sure was convenient when it helped him manipulate the situation. Meanwhile, Robin was over there begging Meri to stay. Why? Because she knew Kody didn't want Meri, but she wanted that paycheck sticking around. Robin also liked the power she had over the other wives, and keeping Meri in her place was part of that game. Robin knew the truth, but it suited her just fine. Ah, the classic double standard at play again. First, Robin goes, the kids don't need to be involved in the issues with their parents. And then, a few minutes later, she's all, Solomon and Ariella aren't really tracking what's going on in the family. Sure, Robin, they're totally oblivious. Fast forward to Ari chiming in with, I don't like Christine, because, as Robin so delicately puts it, Christine left Dad, so of course she's the villain. And Kody, instead of thinking, maybe we should keep the kids out of this, he's sitting there appreciating his youngest child's loyalty to him. Like really, he's beyond delusional. Let's not blame Meri here. She's just a kid, parroting what she's hearing. Naturally, she's going to side with her parents, but it's not hard to imagine where she picked up that attitude. Remember when Robin sat the kids down, all dramatic, to tell them about Thanksgiving? She involved them then, no problem, stirring the pot as usual. Honestly, it's easy to picture Ari saying that to Robin, not Kody. She probably said, I don't like Christine to her mom, using Dad, because that's how kids talk about their parents in the third person. Robin, being her usual passive-aggressive self, probably had a lot to do with Ari's opinion. Robin can pretend she's innocent, but come on, we all know she's been badmouthing Christine, or at least not correcting Ari's attitude in any meaningful way. Mean and immature, that about sums her up. Additionally, it's interesting to draw a comparison between Christine's child support situation and Robin's past dealings with her ex, but I don't think Christine is pulling a Robin here. Robin's ex gave up parental rights in exchange for her dropping child support, which was part of the whole adoption plan with Kody. But Christine's case is different. This is more about holding Kody accountable for ongoing child support, not pushing for an adoption or cutting Kody out of Truly's life. Christine's main issue seems to be that Kody hasn't been spending much, if any, quality time with Truly, so she's pursuing legal action to establish things like custody, visitation, and child support. It's likely less about playing financial games and more about getting court-ordered child support to ensure Truly's needs are met. Kody may not be as involved in her life, but legally he still has obligations. Regarding Kody's financial situation, it's true that he likely doesn't want the courts to get a detailed look at his assets. His whole empire seems to be built on a shaky foundation of poorly hidden income and assets, like all that land at Coyote Pass. However, family court isn't going to dig too deeply into those finances. Christine isn't trying to blow open Kody's entire financial house of cards. She just wants court-enforced child support. The court will look at basic financial documents, like tax returns, and base their decision on that. If Kody tries to play games or hide money, Christine could seek enforcement down the line if he misses payments. As for visitation, Christine's move several hours away does complicate things. Given the distance and Kody's apparent lack of effort in maintaining a relationship with Truly, there may not be much to change regarding visitation. If Kody isn't already seeing Truly regularly, the court may not push for a strict visitation schedule. The bigger focus will probably be on child support and ensuring Truly's future financial needs are met, like medical expenses, college, etc. Christine's approach seems pretty straightforward. Get legal backing to make sure Kody pays what he owes, rather than playing any backroom games like what Robin did with her ex. As well as, it does seem like there's tension between Gwen and Christine, especially with Gwen unfollowing her mom on Instagram and being a no-show at Christine's wedding. Unfollowing someone, especially your own mom, while she still follows you, definitely sends a message. There's likely more going on behind the scenes, but one theory is that Christine's neutrality in the ongoing conflict between Gwen and her brother Peyton might have played a role. Gwen has been open about her issues with Peyton, even accusing him of some serious behavior, and it's possible Christine's neutral stance upset Gwen, making her feel unsupported. It seems like for a while, family events were split between Peyton and Gwen, with one being invited while the other stayed away. But recently, it looks like the family has chosen to invite both and let them decide if they want to attend, putting Christine in a tough spot. As a mother, she's torn between two of her children, both of whom have their own valid feelings, and it's impossible to fully side with one without hurting the other. Gwen is still quite young and navigating a lot: college, her identity, and growing up in a public, highly scrutinized family. Christine has been portrayed positively, but no one's perfect, and raising kids in a polygamist, fundamentalist environment, especially under the glare of reality TV, adds layers of complexity. Gwen, being queer and autistic, likely faced additional challenges growing up, which could contribute to lingering feelings of resentment or frustration. It's easy to imagine that their family dynamic, combined with the weight of these personal challenges, could make things even more difficult. Some viewers see Gwen as a bit of a drama queen, but honestly, any of the kids in this situation are entitled to feel animosity toward the 5 parents. They grew up in a complicated, often dysfunctional family, with their lives broadcast for public consumption. It's a lot for anyone to deal with, and while we don't know all the details, there's probably a good reason for any animosity Gwen might feel. In the end, family dynamics are messy, especially in the Brown family, and this is likely just a piece of a much bigger picture. Hopefully, they can find a way to work through it. Furthermore, let's set the record straight. Kody and Robin got together in 2010, and by 2014, he was adopting her kids. So yes, once Kody signed those adoption papers, he was their dad. No arguments there, but let's not pretend that matters for the first 4 years of their relationship. In any family that doesn't resemble a polygamous cult, Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton would simply be the kids' step-siblings, and Robin would be seen as Dad's new young girlfriend. It's pretty standard in blended families for the older kids and the new ones to need time to warm up to each other. There wouldn't be an expectation, maybe a hope, but definitely not an expectation, that they'd bond immediately like lifelong siblings. Instead, the adults in this circus expected the OG kids to emotionally treat Robin's brood like they were just as ingrained in their lives from day one. And when the kids struggled to adjust, surprise! They were bullied and shamed by the adults for not making the emotional leap instantly. Robin's kids were practically pressured to call Kody Dad when they could barely pick him out of a lineup. This is one of the many toxic aspects of polygamy. If you've seen the documentaries, you know it's not uncommon for leaders to reassign kids and wives whenever the original dad loses favor with the church. They basically say, "This is your father now," and that's the end of it. While that might be forced, the emotional pressure in the Brown family feels just as suffocating. The discussions around whether or not the OG kids accepted Robin and her kids are completely off. If they didn't accept them, that's not some moral failing, it's just a tough situation. Kids can't be expected to automatically love someone they barely know just because someone told them to. Honestly, this whole dynamic feels way more culty than anyone wants to admit. And let's not forget how they were expected to treat Robin's kids differently. Robin coddled her kids like they were fragile collectibles, while the OG kids were encouraged to be rough and tumble. So they had to treat the new kids like they were special snowflakes, but also pretend everything was hunky-dory. ignoring the fact that they now had even less time with their dad. Oh, and the adoption celebration? Let's talk about that. Kody wanted the fanciest plaques for his new kids. Seriously? How about spending a little less and getting something for all the kids so they could all feel included? But hey, that would make too much sense, right? Moreover, what a delightful corner they've managed to shove themselves into, huh? Half the front row is practically reserved for Michelle's family, leaving Logan with a staggering total of 7 seats for Kody and his crew. Does anyone really believe Kody would ever sit somewhere without Robin, or that Robin would be anywhere without her girls? Absolutely not. So what's Kody's beef? Apparently, he's upset that Logan didn't give him and Robin more than half the front row seats allotted for his massive family, and instead relegated him to a mere 2 feet further back. Honestly, I can't even with these people. Now, let's imagine he's talking about the reception. He actually admitted to telling Michelle he wasn't sure if he'd even show up. Like, hello. Putting together seating charts is a colossal headache, and then this guy has the audacity to say, I might not come. I would have stuck him in the back too. Why waste good seats on someone who might not even bother to show up? Considering his behavior at Gwen's wedding, where he didn't even show up for the ceremony, you'd think he'd have the good sense to keep quiet about how he's treated at his kids' events. But of course, you can't fix stupid. For Kody, if he's not in the front row or officiating, that's basically the back. Just look at how he angles himself, desperately trying to inch as close to the front as possible. However, what an exhausting man he must be to be around. Just existing in the same space as him sounds like a full-time job. He can't even fathom the idea that maybe everyone else was just having fun. It's honestly sad that it took them so long to finally divorce him. You can practically feel him sulking because he wasn't the one being fawned over or put in the spotlight at his son's wedding. Bravo to Logan for not pandering to Kody's overinflated ego. They've had him on this pedestal for far too long, and now he just can't accept that he's not up there anymore. The cloak of charity has officially been ripped away. If anyone's acting like a teenager here, it's Kody. At the reception, he was busy taking notes on who he thought was having fun, and who he suspected was just pretending to enjoy themselves. Logan and Michelle got married, and the OG3 or OG13 were celebrating and having a blast. I'm pretty sure not a single person was concerned about how their fun appeared to Kody. They were living in the moment, completely oblivious to his drama. Kody honestly thinks he's the center of the universe, even at someone else's wedding. This guy is so delusional I can't wrap my head around how he manages to function in the adult world. Here's why Kody is such a narcissist. While everyone else goes to events to have a good time, what does Kody do? He keeps a running tally of everyone's behavior, noting who says hello and who doesn't, who looks like they're genuinely having fun versus those who are just faking it. And let's not forget his favorite pastime, tracking who's loyal and who isn't. All this information gets stored in his brain, just waiting to be unleashed later, either to win an argument, play the victim, or weaponize it against anyone who didn't meet Kody's expectations. Which is practically everyone. It's literally psycho game-playing nonsense. So it turns out my Keltie Brown wasn't exactly pushed to be a nanny for Robin. She chose to leave home as a teenager. Interesting, right? I mean, she nearly teared up talking about her teen years. We all just assumed Kody and Robin orchestrated this little arrangement, but it doesn't look like that was the case at all. What on earth was going on in Leahy that made a child want to leave her home and live with relative strangers? We all know family life wasn't as blissful before Robin came along as the adults like to pretend. Yet, my Keltie seems to look back at that time as a torturous period in her life. My own teen years weren't exactly a fairy tale, but I can still find the good memories among the chaos. It's unsettling to think that, with 4 adults in the house, my Keltie still felt the need to leave just to be seen and heard. Let's break it down. Robin had 3 kids, and Kody, Christine, Meri, and Janelle had 12 at the time, 3 each, or 4 if you don't count Kody. So saying there were a lot of kids to handle doesn't cut it for me. Robin had a similar number and still managed to welcome another teenager into her home. Plus, the age gap between Mykelti and Robin's kids created a whole different dynamic than what she experienced with the OG kids, who were closer in age. Christine often seemed to clash with her kids. Just think about her comments about Isabel when she moved into Meri's place, or when Aspen moved in with Robin. It's entirely possible that Christine offered up Mykelti in a moment of desperation, and Kody and Robin jumped at the opportunity. For Mykelti, it might have felt like a fresh start. She probably didn't get enough attention at home because she was just one of many, and with Robin having only younger kids when they first met, Mykelti likely received a lot more personal attention. Honestly, I feel like Mykelti was definitely the forgotten middle child, and it makes sense that she'd seek extra attention elsewhere. This is what happens when you have too many kids to give each one the personal attention they need, in my opinion. Also, when the family first moves to Las Vegas and settles into their rentals, they make it clear that each adult can only afford to decorate one room in the house. Robin and Christine opt for bedroom sets, while Meri and Janelle go for living room furniture. And that's when we finally meet the delightful Theo. It's emphasized that they can only do one room each because Janelle decides to pick the living room for the sake of the whole family. But when Kody insists they need a bed, Janelle shoots back that there's no budget for it. Classic. A couple of episodes later, they're back in the shop so Robin can set up a brand new nursery for Solomon. Now, maybe I'm being that person who sees all the flaws, but shouldn't this nursery have counted as her one room? Sure, she needed stuff for the baby, but you'd think she could score some hand-me-downs from the previous 16 kids. Honestly, I suspect the whole budget situation was just a contrived storyline. By this point, they were raking in a decent amount from the show, and TLC probably tossed in some cash like they did for the trips and weddings. Wasn't this also the episode where Robin told Kody she'd never had a crib before? I remember Kody looking shocked, and honestly, Robin seemed a bit disingenuous. Something tells me she pulled that never had a crib line to tug at Kody's heartstrings and make him look like a hero for finally buying her one. Even if she was financially struggling when her 3 oldest were born, it's hard to believe that Robin racked up tens of thousands of dollars in debt for those special long pants, but couldn't spare an extra $100 for a crib on her credit card. Priorities, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell for future updates. Your feedback means a lot, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.